Welcome. Happy Wednesday and welcome to the Screen Time Continuum. I am Nick, and as usual, I'm here with Nick.
We've changed.
Wow. I'm
I
Nick,
am
as usual.
taking
I'm
over
here with
Screen
Keelan.
Time Continuum.
That's right. Nick, and I'm here with Nick.
That's right.
I am Keelan, and I am here with Nick. What's going on, Nick? How you feeling? I hope you're not
Hey,
feeling like Keelan today. But if you
you
are,
know, I was feeling a little bit like Keelan, but that's okay. We can switch back. It's all good. Happy Wednesday, man.
happy Wednesday, brother. Welcome guys to episode 5, the 5th review for the 5th episode of Moon Knight. This episode is entitled Asylum. If you have not seen episode 5, the Asylum episode, not the one that ended with the hippopotamus, but the one that tells you a little more about the hippopotamus, by all means, turn away now. Go and watch episode 5. Come on back. By the time you're done with that, we'll be done got this out of our system, and you can just watch this right behind that like one big long episode. We appreciate you for tuning in now, but we'll talk to you a little later. For those who've already seen it, though, or those who maybe don't plan on seeing it, but you just want to hear how we feel about it, buckle up, because this was an episode. And I'm going to say that. And from there, I'm going to go ahead and say, Nick, what was your first impressions of the episode entitled Asylum?
Excellent question. Thank you. It was good, but it also wasn't. No, I think it was fine, but it's not Moon Knight. So like I liked it as an episode because I liked what it was doing, but it almost didn't feel enough like Moon Knight. It kind of felt like a something you could have added after the story or at the beginning of the story. There was just so much jumbled of like, I know it's like the origin story now, but this is the second to last episode and it just feels off. So I like the episode itself. I don't like it in the context of the rest of the season.
Ditto. I don't think I've ever just wanted to just leave it at that and say ditto for a first impression. I mean, for other things, plenty of times, right? But for a first impression, ditto, right on the head. This was a great episode of the Mark and Steven adventure. I loved it under that guise and under that context. Very much so an origin story. Doesn't really, I don't understand. Listen, this episode made me affirmed, and we're gonna get this like we did in Loki, maybe sooner than we did in Loki. We're gonna get at some point a confirmation for a new season. Not because there were new things introduced, but nothing was moved forward in this particular episode.
Right. And we only have one more. So,
right.
And, you know, the thing that we predicted is probably going to be what takes up at least the first 20 minutes of the next episode, which is Layla recovering Khonshu to bring back Mark.
So already predicted that happening. We predicted who was the original as well. I'm not sure if we had the same thought on that, but I know we had that discussion. And one of us, well, I'm not even going to play. I know who had it. I had the revealing answer, but I don't remember what your take was. So I guess as we approach that part, I would love your, if you could recap how you thought before we got the confirmation in this one. With that being said, short version of what this episode is about. This episode is entitled Asylum. It pretty much tracks the mental health and the backlog, the histories, the origin of Mark and Steven. We learned that the hippopotamus is Towerette, as I presumed in the last episode. And she is doing exactly what her job is, ushering the souls through the what is called the Duat, which is the Egyptian underworld, or to the Egyptian underworld, and getting them to the Field of Reeds, which I have to say, and I'll say now, the Field of Reeds is probably one of my favorite depictions of the underworld, no matter which series or show or movie takes it. I've seen it a few times in different lures and in different things, and it always looks the same, like a big golden wheat field. And yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's just a beautiful picture.
Yeah, it's pretty, but it's not really heaven, is it? It's like you're just in the
No,
middle of a giant wheat field. Like, is that
right.
forever? Is that
It's
what
yeah.
happens?
It's supposed to be the forever paradise. So
Hmm.
the thought behind the field of reeds is when you are a balanced or a fulfilled soul, the field of reeds is paradise for you because you have no worries. So the field of reeds is an example of what your mind is, what your spirit is, and it's just
Hmm.
calm.
Right.
Um, that's how I've always understood it. That's how it was explained to me, the field of reeds. And to me, that's why it's always beautiful to be layered that way, just this bright, sunny, golden patch of wheat.
Hmm.
And it's wheat. So that means you can build with it, you can eat it, it'll help keep you warm because you can burn it. What can't you do with wheat?
I don't even
Um,
think you need to do any of that, right?
I don't think you need to do any of that, but I'm just conceptually, I'm thinking wheat is probably one of the most useful resources. And so for the field of reed to be a wheat field, and I actually didn't know what a reed was. So I'm assuming a reed is a tall wheat or whatever that wheat looking stuff is a reed.
They're like cattails that come out of water.
Mm,
I was like, that's what a reed is.
hmm,
Specifically because the Nile was had reeds all along the coast.
mhm.
So I think that's where the Egyptians got it from, because
Ah,
all across the Nile there were reeds, and
reeds.
so yeah, you would have that as like a demarcation of worlds, or it's
Right.
like you go past the field of reeds, then you're in the afterlife.
That makes so much sense. And all of the depictions of either the river Styx or the Duat or any of the passageways to get to the underworld, there is always either water or some type of a ferry that has to take you across a vast, like in this case, a vast sea of sand.
Hmm. The
Um,
threshold.
mhm,
Yeah.
mhm. I like that. So yeah, what are some from the beginning? Like, where would you like to start? What are some beginning notes that you noticed when we first got into this episode?
So I guess to start off, what I would like to say is that I don't know. I don't see the utility of trying to keep the audience guessing about whether he's crazy or not.
Hmm.
And I feel like they did that a lot in this episode, where you could still leave it open. Technically, if you wanted after this episode to still believe that he's just
He's
crazy in
crazy.
an
Yeah.
insane asylum, you could believe that. Now, of course, for the story, we know that that's not true,
Hmm.
because why would you have a character that was just crazy? Um, so it does feel a little bit like, is this necessary to keep trying to like make us think that he's actually just crazy?
Hmm.
Um, so I thought that probably could have been either done away with, or because it just feels like, oh, they're trying to give us a little bit of a twist, like, gaslight us into thinking that maybe he is just
He is
an
crazy.
insane person. But
Right.
obviously we know that that's not true. So it just feels like we're kind of being, I don't know, like they're,
Facetious at this point.
yeah, they're just like, they're just being like, oh, do you think? And I'm
Do
like,
you think?
no. I don't think so. I don't think of that. I don't think that this is going to be happening. Sorry, guys.
Like, oh, do you think? Like, nah, I don't. No, I totally understand. Did you think he was dead?
Yeah, in the afterlife, that makes a lot more sense
Yeah,
for
because
me.
I remember we were having this, or I was having a theory, I should say, because I came to the theory of, oh, maybe it was water from the Nile, and he's in a portal, and he's not really dead, and too
Hmm.
much work. Um, so yeah, I didn't think he was dead, as we know, but I am glad that they gave some level of clarity to that, because man, that would have ate me up if we had ended this particular episode and didn't get a some understanding of what was going on. Like either he's dead or he's stuck in limbo. He's just imbalanced, which was kind of all of that was the case.
Yeah. So my question though is too, why is he dropping back into the psych ward element? Like if he's with the hippo goddess and Steven, and they're trying to figure all these things out, and then it's like he snaps back into the psych ward. Like, what
Because
is
he
that
I,
for?
I think that shows the level of strength in his mind where he compartmentalizes everything.
Mm,
So even in his own mind, when he freaks out, he has a safe place, and that safe place just happens to have been inhabited now by Harrow, because that is the most enthralled thing in his brain. Like that is the end all be all. You must overcome this thing now.
Mm,
So no matter what, even like I noticed Layla didn't come up. I noticed what we really dealt with was his trauma,
mhm.
and he has to deal with his trauma and find balance in that in order to beat Harrow, because
Yeah.
Harrow clearly found his balance, and that's how he was able to free himself from Khonshu and pursue Amit.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, so I mean, like as for a as per a character stuck in the Afterlife episode, it was pretty decent. Um, I think we've seen this type of thing before. You know,
1,000%.
whether it's with like I was thinking like Legion does this a lot in their first season, where they have these like sort of mental illusions that people walk in and out of, and they tell the story through that. And yeah, so I thought this was pretty.
Clever in that way.
Yeah, it was fine. It was a fine way to sort of tell the story. I did like that we got some of the Afterlife stuff that was interesting, the mythology.
Yeah.
But there's still no Moon Knight. This isn't
Nope.
Moon Knight.
I mean, we got Moon Knight. At least we saw Moon Knight in this one.
Well, we saw him for a couple seconds, but now we know where the budget went. It went into animating the hippo.
1,000%. I said that at the end of this. I should have said that at the top. I said that at the end of watching this episode. Me and my wife looked at each other. Well, we know where the budget went.
Yeah.
This one whole, like everything we complained about leading up to this episode makes sense watching this. And I said that was gonna happen. I was like,
Yeah.
episode 5 or 6, there's gonna be so much CG work, it's gonna make it all make sense because the budget had, it's Disney. We knew they had a budget that was much larger than what we were seeing.
Mm-hmm.
We knew it.
Yeah.
And now I'm thinking episode 6 is gonna be about an hour long and about 20 minutes of a CG fight easily.
Who's fighting though?
I guess at that point, Khonshu would be back, and somehow, not just Layla, but Layla and Mark, will somehow be able to imbue the power of the Moon Knight, and Arthur will have the power of Amit at his betrothal. So that'll be
What's the power of Amit? Is it just shooting
I'm assuming
laser beams?
no. I'm assuming that she controls a level of chaos the same way Khonshu does.
Right, but I'm saying is like, how is that going to manifest itself? It's like, is he going to
Oh,
shoot
I
like
think she.
red chaos magic at people?
Oh yeah,
And,
that's
you know what
hilarious.
I mean? Like,
No, I think he'll just be able to conjure up these different and summon all these different things, different souls and spirits and demons and all that, blah blah, things
you
like
know,
that.
it's so funny because like the villain seems so underdeveloped at this point. Like,
I do want to say
yeah.
before you can say that, I hope
Mhm.
there's no hand-to-hand combat scene between Oscar Isaacs and Ethan Hawke. I'll be pissed.
Me neither.
I just thought
I
about
don't
that
want
and I was
that.
like, I have to say this now because that'd be
Yeah,
gross.
nobody needs to see that.
No.
But like that's kind of my point, though. It's like, what is the ultimate climax? It's either going to be between Moon Knight and a bunch of bunch of Haros thugs. I mean,
Yeah.
like that's pretty much it. There is no other monster. Maybe more of those jackals. Like,
Can I get a new creature at least in episode 6?
well, this is the problem. Is like the villain isn't enough. Harrow's not enough. He's not even really a villain. He's just an overzealous guy that wants to
He's
balance
a
the
doctor,
world.
in
Yeah.
fact.
Well, he's a doctor, yeah. But like I don't know, man. The villain doesn't seem big enough for the climax that we're going to be having.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. Well, in this one, we find out that the villain may not be Harrow, but it's been kind of been Mark the whole time. In his mind, at least.
Yeah.
In
Well,
regards to the way
he's
that plays out.
he being yeah. I mean, he is his own enemy, but I also
Right.
felt a little bit like
It's his mother.
yeah, his mother obviously was the
His mom is
problem.
the big bad.
There we
for
go,
sure,
Disney.
at least in this episode.
Disney fulfilling its destiny and
For once, Disney
having
takes out the
dysfunctional
women.
parents again.
Yeah, that's exactly.
Yeah.
I was leading to that. I was say,
Always.
for once, Disney takes out the woman to create the dysfunctional family. The problem I have there is, oh no, we did see the dad. Never mind. I'm gonna say the problem is we didn't meet the dad, but we did. So never mind.
But
But
that
they could
goes
have they could have just
to the
let that be.
Cinderella thing too. The
Yeah, they
wicked
could have just let
stepmother.
that be. We didn't have to know. Oh, you're right. And Maleficent. But we
Mm-hmm.
didn't have to know that his mother passed away. We could have literally just left that floating in the wind. That really didn't have to happen.
No.
Great story. Again, the story of Mark and Steven, this episode, which is the episode of Mark and Steven in my mind. Good episode, but as far as the Moon Knight story, we didn't need it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Totally unnecessary to the Moon Knight actual story, which is kind of frustrating because this would have been good in a longer season.
Oh
But
man.
we literally only have one more episode left, and I feel like they like I just hate this. I hate this formula so much because we do this every time we do a Disney show, man.
Mhm.
It's like first episode we're interested, episodes 2, 3, and 4 we're like, what the hell is this? And then 5 we're like, okay, this is getting better. And then 6, it's like, oh wow, that was actually really good. I'm just so tired of that, man.
So what you're saying is it won't be really good next week.
I don't think so, man. I mean, like, okay, so here's a question: what do you think
Yep.
would make this awesome? Like, what could you add something to the story in the next episode that would make this like, oh wow? I know that would be, doing a whole lot of creative writing in your head right now, but
But I already tried, and no, I have
yeah,
nothing. I have a few things, but they would just make this more muddy. It'd be muckier.
right.
It wouldn't be a clean break, and I can't even say it would be as entertaining as this particular episode. This episode, at least, like it hit you in an emotional place,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, to answer your question, I'm not really sure what to add, but I do want to get in a little bit too because we brought up mom. So we find out that Mark has a brother or had a brother,
Mm.
and that the origin story of Mark's entire roller coaster in life essentially sparks when he and his brother go to the cave, quote unquote, they go to back in the day. Now, I like how them running through that origin story and all the different memories, it's like, oh, this is when he met Khonshu then. Oh no. Okay, no, wait, what happened?
Yeah.
Oh shoot. Oh, okay, this is when this happened. Oh no, 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 no. Okay, that's not it.
No, not until the end. Yeah.
Right. But I really like how you had to question, like, wait, what's coming next? Like you had a feeling that it was gonna like what was gonna happen, but you didn't. And
Mm-hmm.
then we see he lost his brother, and his mama essentially has emotional breakdown. Um, she becomes Wanda with no powers.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. She would enslave that kid for
Yeah,
certain.
yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was okay, but it also felt like, good lord.
Oh, it was over the top, but it's
Yeah,
real.
it's real. It's
Yeah.
real, but is it too real for a show like this? I feel like it kind of is.
Well, remember what
Because
we
we've
said
all been
last.
laughing and thinking this was a fun show, and then all of a sudden it's like now you got to think about parental abuse and alcoholism.
Mhm.
Like what?
And Mark consistently trying to protect himself and protecting Steven from the information
Right.
of what was going on. But no, that's what I mean is it's interesting that a lot of the times in these situations we'll look at it from the aspect of like, and I thought the same thing, like, dang, is this a little too dark? Like her walking around with the brandy carafe
Mm-hmm.
and just pouring up and talking smack to him on his birthday and all of that. It's like, is this too much? But then I consider what we were talking about before with the adult Disney fans. And as well as what we said at the beginning of this series, this is one of those series that we expected to have more real world elements, to be a little grittier, be a little grimier. Um, and I also enjoyed that with my Wanda comment, knowing that this isn't a part of the MCU. Like
Mm.
this doesn't have some predetermined long run, which is why I'm also not sure they'll get a second season. But it doesn't have some predetermined long run. It's not you're not going to see Oscar Isaac and Ethan Hawke popping up in the movies as the same characters. That's just not a thing, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And
You might see Khonshu in the next Thor movie.
you may see Khonshu. Yes, you may see Khonshu, but that doesn't mean we'll see Moon Knight outside of the costume. So we might get Moon Knight, but that doesn't mean we'll get Oscar Isaac.
Right.
And all of those things to me kind of buy into the way a lot of the memories work. Like this was a really dark episode.
Yeah.
compared to. This was a pretty dark
Well,
episode.
compared to the rest of the season, for sure. Yeah, I
Mhm.
mean, emotionally dark. No, it wasn't especially violent or anything
Oh
like
yeah,
that.
no, no,
But
no,
yeah,
nothing like that. But just conceptually, the concepts that were thrown at us. What I'm getting at though
yeah,
is when we have that being introduced, now you have this like grittier side of marking. You know all the deep dark things. Um, as we've said with a lot of these series, Disney is taking the liberty to play around with certain elements that they haven't delve into the same way. That was their attempt at, touching into the gritty, nastier sides of life, and at the same time keeping it somehow relevant towards the story that we're watching. And I can't. They're gonna do it a little more. It's gonna happen, but I think that was probably one of the realer versions of what we could have seen. Like again, it gave me real Wanda vibes, but
yeah. I
Wanda
do.
was a play version of it, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's definitely a stark departure from what Disney
Right.
normally does.
Yeah.
But I also don't know if it's exactly. I don't know. It doesn't seem like it fits in the story. Like, how does original Mark Spector become dissociative? Is that the same story? Like his mom beat him, and then he had to create an alter ego to deal with the
Yeah. Yeah.
the, the stress.
Pretty much. That's what it seems like, at least.
I
But
don't
then you
know,
even,
man. I kind of miss the days where people had to fall into vats of acid or be bitten by radioactive spiders
yeah.
to become superheroes. Like this,
Well,
this
he
feels a
died.
little bit.
Let's remember he was dying. He didn't die. And that's
Yeah,
the other thing I
that's
didn't
true.
like. We were told he died and that he got rejected from the field of reeds. That's not what we saw.
Right.
That's not what we saw.
Well, he was rejected from the field of reeds intrinsically by the fact that he had dissociative identity. So,
Okay, facts.
because he's not balanced within his soul, he would have automatically been rejected anyways. So and this is where I'm getting at too. It's like, oh, geez, man, I don't know if we want to walk down this path. Like I don't know, man. It feels, I get weird
Spiritual
feels.
morality.
I get weird feels from like, the mouse portraying sort of like emotional parental trauma and how that leads to
Mm,
dissociative identity disorder. Like that's, I don't know. I don't want Mickey Mouse doing that.
I did not put that together, and I understand what you mean. Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Beauty and
It
the Beast much.
it just feels a little icky. I don't know, but that's just me. I might just be a sign of the times, and I might just be an old fogey about it. But it does feel a little weird. Like
Yeah. Uh-huh.
normally our superheroes have much less. Like the most traumatic you get was Uncle Ben dying, or Thomas and Martha Wayne dying. Like
Yeah.
not like a monster of a mother that beat you and psychologically tortured you.
I mean, we got Cruella Deville.
Yeah, I didn't see that though. I
Oh,
didn't see
no, no,
that.
no, 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 not
Yeah.
the new version. I'm talking about the 101 Dalmatians.
Oh, right, right, right.
You're right. I
Yeah, she
forget
was
there's
she
a
was
movie
pretty
named
cartoonish.
Cruella now.
Yes. Yeah.
Um, but yeah, no, no, no. I meant that. But I get what you're saying. I totally get what you're saying. I don't really know which way to go with that, if I'm being honest. And
Yeah.
the reason is we complained when every dad was the go to work dad, didn't have, I mean, hell, Mrs. Doubtfire, which I don't think was a Disney property, but even Mrs. Doubtfire was a bad dad.
Mhm.
He had to become a woman to become a good father. So
Yeah, yeah.
I
Well, I
get it.
mean, like yes,
It's like where do we win?
it is a portrayal of realism to suggest the idea that it could be the mother that's abusive as well. I guess that's pretty real. But I guess what it is that I am not 100% a Disney adult, and so
I
getting
get you.
this type of motif from a child show makes me feel like, who's this for?
Oh man, listen. I'll tell you where it's even crazier in my mind. What I thought about was, wow, if you're a real Disney head and you're watching this and watching the Disney pirate trial right now, I wasn't gonna name
Oh
names.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Mhm.
I don't want to bring too much attention to that right in this, but watching that, like you have to ask a real question about the power of what women do when the door is closed.
Mm.
Um, I don't know how that really works for most people, but I could imagine how that could be triggering, like the timing of it all.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I'm wondering if they're playing on that because that's not a oh we didn't know that was going on type of a situation. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, of course, of course. Yeah, there might be a little bit of the pendulum swinging a little bit to recorrect itself.
Hmm.
In the sense that, like, if we're going to represent people, equally, then it can't just be men being the villains. Obviously,
Right. Right.
like
Right.
there has to be.
That's how I was trying to explain it. Yeah.
Yeah, so like I get that. I think I think it's not even just the fact that it was the mom. I just think that was a really sort of
It was dark.
heavy. Yeah, it's just heavy material to sort of
Well,
introduce casually as a semi origin story for at least Steven. It's Steven's origin story. So
right. Yeah. Steven's origin story. And that's what I'm saying though. But we go from how dark that is to then how dark it is to lose your mom and have to hide that from your disassociated identity. Like,
right.
what? How do
Yeah.
you hide from your subconscious that you lost your parent?
Hey, we predicted that, right?
We did. We
When we said the
1000%
mom
put that.
wasn't even alive. Yeah.
Mhm. And Steven just didn't know.
Hmm.
And that's we said it exactly like that. That the mom's dead. Steven doesn't know, but Mark does.
Right.
Because you never heard Mark talk about his mom.
Hmm.
Not his mom, his mom.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, so from there, I mean, they're running around, they're going through the ups and downs. I enjoyed watching the flip of Steven being the stronger one,
On the
you know.
boat. Yeah.
Yeah, on the boat
Hmm.
going through the memories. Like mentally, Mark just couldn't hack it.
Right.
And even when you consider that he had to create Steven, it's like that means that Steven is the stronger version of Mark. Steven is the version that can just put his head down and do what needs to be done.
Right.
Well, clearly not kill people, but yeah.
Right, but he can only do that. Well, Mark thinks that he can only do that with the absence of the information, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
So,
So,
yeah, it makes sense that he would try to keep that all from Steven. And like I could assume that somebody who would experience deep trauma like that would want to have a mental space where they didn't have to actually factor in any of that in
right.
their life. So,
Right.
I
Well,
could see the plausibility of all that.
right. And even Mark's reality of how things got crazier in the last 2 months. So we still don't know how long he's been with Khonshu. But we are well aware that it's only been the last 2 months that
We're basically
the veil,
witnessing.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that the veil has been broken and they kind of come into contact with each other. I thought that was interesting to find that out and to realize that the reason for Steven is gone.
Hmm.
So that's
Yeah.
what happened. That's why the veil's broken because you don't really have a reason to be this person anymore. You can really go back to your regular life and go back to your wife. Genius.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a good point because I feel like once he had moved out of the house and had his own life, was there a reason for Steven to keep on existing?
No,
No.
except for the
Right.
fact that you already created them, and I guess at that point it's a coping mechanism when things get too stressful.
But you're also a mercenary that like kills people and stuff, so you're used to stress. Like, so what stress are you keeping yourself from at
I'm
this
trying to
point? And
figure
why
that
do
out.
you have a job at the museum?
Well, that's a Steven thing.
But why does Steven have a job at the museum?
Steven loves Egyptology, and
But
he's an archaeologist. Did,
at
have, did you not see the Indiana Jones like character?
Yeah, but at some point in this dynamic, Stephen had to become the main alter.
I
So
agree.
Mark had to
For more
seed
than two
himself
months.
for more than 2 months. So Mark had to seed himself from as the main alter, and now Stephen is the main alter. Stephen goes and gets jobs and
Hmm.
works at the museum. What the hell is Mark doing?
Booking
He's
dates and shit.
coming out at nighttime. Like that's
Maybe,
basically what he's doing, right?
maybe, literally.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's curious because that's what it does seem like though. Like he was keeping himself dormant and only at night, and that's why it makes me wonder how long has he been with Khonshu? Because it would seem like he's been with Khonshu about 5 months, meaning you had 3 months with just you and Khonshu, and then Steven came back into play.
However long Layla's dad's been dead.
That seems
That's
like it might be years.
yeah. I think it's been years
Hmm.
because basically Layla's dad's body was right there when Mark went to the statue.
Right.
So I would assume it's been that long at least, so, which
Hmm.
makes sense. Years because I don't. Do we have any like
Real
confirmation
timeline.
that?
No.
Well, do we have any confirmation that Mark and Layla knew each other at that point? They could have
No, they
met
didn't.
afterwards.
Yeah, no, we found that out when she was like, "So we only met because of my dad."
Mm, yeah,
Like how he was like he wanted to tell her, but he
right.
couldn't. Yeah. So you ended up banging her and marrying her.
As you do,
Interesting. Right. Yeah.
and
That's
then
how that goes.
giving up your control.
That's how that goes. Um.
But wait, what caused? Okay, so was it his mother's death that caused Mark
Yeah.
to cede the control?
Yeah. Essentially.
Okay,
Essentially.
yeah,
That's when he could no longer control when he would click in and click out.
right.
Um. So yeah, and once we find that out, I mean, that's when things really get kind of crazy. The ship stops. Um, we find out that Towerette, although she seemed helpful, ain't really helping. Um, which I didn't understand that. It's like, so you're helping, you tell them to balance the scales don't get balanced. Now you just stop us dead in the sand and oh, well, get you to the souls. La 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 la.
Yeah, that didn't make a whole lot of sense because it felt like she was turning the ship around to take them back to the gate.
Right.
Why would their souls
And they
need to
got
be
all the way to
balanced
the
if they're
gate.
going to the gate?
Right. They got all the way to the gate. And that's when it was like, oh, well, your souls aren't balanced. I thought they'd be balanced by now, so I can't let you out. What?
Yeah.
And I guess their souls had to be balanced for the gate to open, I guess, because she doesn't really control. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. I'm not sure. I think maybe there was a detail that I was missing, but that did seem
Same
a
here.
little bit unclear.
Same here. I do. Again, I'm starting to enjoy the lack of explanation and having us have to really do the homework on some of these things. I'll give them that.
Yeah, I don't need everything to be told explicitly. That's for sure.
But sometimes it's a little too confusing.
And little hints here and there help. That's for
right.
So Stephen gets got.
Yeah.
Sacrifices himself.
Well, first he grows some cojones and realize he can knock zombie sand dunes over the board and bust them up too. And he saves he saves Mark. But yeah, essentially he gets got and he goes overboard and
does he
petrified.
really though? I don't
No,
think he does.
because he doesn't even exist.
Exactly.
So remember, you're supposed to be pulled under by the spirits, by the souls. He doesn't get pulled under. He just gets left behind and he's petrified by the sand.
Right. It's leaving that like schism because now I think that Stephen and I mean Mark is fully integrated back.
Right.
And so he doesn't have to have Stephen exist anymore.
And maybe Khonshu can just go and pluck Stephen and put him in another body.
If that's even necessary, because Stephen is just Mark with better temperament and a British accent.
Hey man, I don't know how the brain chemicals work, but apparently it makes him a different person.
Well, I mean, his wife loves Stephen more, so I guess that makes sense.
I got some theories behind that. That's for like Patreon or something.
Yeah.
But so yeah, once he is petrified, the skills become balanced, and this is what got me. So scales balance, and instead of opening the gate and letting him through, he just goes to fill the reeds.
Yeah. So the only person that can save him now is Layla, because Layla's the only one
from Khonshu.
Yeah. Layla's the only one that's going to be able to get Khonshu back.
Guess you're gonna get your wish.
Yep.
Tune in next week if you want to know what the wish was. Oh, they could figure it out. They should know. They watch us. They know we don't hold back. It's honest. We call it how it is. Guess what? When it becomes too many old saggy black men in movies, we'll complain about that. But still, then. And it's so many movies with
Danny Glover's, a whole bunch of Danny Glovers.
Right, exactly. Where at this point he is kind of the old guy.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah.
Right. But yeah, when it's a bunch of them, you got it. When we try to seeing Lil Wayne cameo in Criminal Minds or something, then
right. Oh, I do have to say one thing. I watched this show that I thought was really good. It's on Netflix. It's called Murderville. Have you seen the thing for it? Yeah, you should check it out. It's actually pretty funny. The episode with Marshawn Lynch is hilarious. So basically, it's like this show where it's like a cop.
It's improv, right?
Yeah. Will Arnett plays a cop, and so they bring in a new celebrity every episode, and they take them through a murder mystery, and the celebrity has to solve the murder at the end of the episode.
Stupid.
It's so good. It's hilarious.
I only watched one episode so far, so I
Oh,
can't say I
okay.
really like
Yeah.
got the gist of
Oh,
it.
did you
In the
watch the
first
Conan
episode,
one?
yeah, it was the
Yeah.
Conan one.
Conan one wasn't as good. Marshawn Lynch is much better.
Honestly, I
Because he
only watched it
rolls
because
with
I
that
saw a
shit.
Marshawn Lynch episode, and I was like, I'm gonna watch it in order. I'm not just gonna go straight to the one I want to see.
Oh, he's effortless in it, dude. It's so good. Yeah.
Good,
Yeah.
awesome. All right, well, that is our take on Murderville. You should check that out. But at the exact same time, that is the wrap up for our Moon Knight episode 5 review. The Asylum is clearly in Mark's head. But also on the ship that Tararet runs to get you through the Duat to the Field of Reeds, which gives you all of your memories. But yeah, that's this episode. Nick, anything else?
Nah. Again, another one of those phenomenons where it's like you give us the episode 5 and everybody thinks that this could be saved, and then episode 6 doesn't really deliver in the same manner that we think it's going to. I mean, we saw this with Loki, we saw this with WandaVision. I mean, Captain
I at least like Loki's
Falcon and
last
Winter
episode.
Soldier. Loki's last episode wasn't terrible, but I mean, like the Kang episode was episode 5, and everybody's like, "Oh, where's this gonna go?" And then it didn't really go where we thought it was going to. So
yeah. No, I'm with you. I totally agree. I'm hoping they don't I hope they don't Game of Thrones this thing.
I don't think there's enough at stake to Game of Thrones it, to be honest.
I will give you that. At least they didn't introduce us to any new characters at the last minute as well.
Right. Except for the giant hippo.
Well, at least we also found out who she is, and as far as I can tell, we won't be getting her back. Taret's gone
for now.
Taret.
They didn't spend all that money on that CGI to make that a one-off character. Come on.
Oh no, I'm sure we'll end up seeing like Osiris or somebody.
And they didn't design them after the hippos from Fantasia for no reason either. So
that is hilarious. All right, but with that being the case, I have nothing more for the episode 5. Nick has nothing more for the episode 5, and the Asylum has officially closed its doors. Thank you guys for tuning in to the Screen Time Continuum. This Wednesday episode covering Moon Knight is our second to last Moon Knight episode. Tune in next week for episode 6 of Moon Knight. But by all means, don't forget us on Sunday. We'll have a new movie plotted, planned, and dropped right on in for you. We appreciate you for tuning in. By all means, if you're on Facebook or YouTube, head on over to some of these other names I'm about to give you. Make sure you subscribe, like, follow, hit that little bell for notifications. And if you don't do that, we appreciate you for tuning into this episode. Just try to remember us next time. And when you feel the need, hit those subscriptions and follows so that you don't miss us every time we go live. The Screen Time Continuum comes on Wednesday and Sunday at 8:30 p.m. We also have If Numbers Could Talk on Tuesdays at 8 p.m. We have the Exofathom that comes on Friday evenings at 8:30 p.m. As well as Strawberries and Coffee. You can catch that over on Twitch. Also available on YouTube. Dejan goes through a bunch of video games. You just never know what he's going to bring you, man. You got to tune in if you're looking for some new stuff, some walkthroughs, some funny gameplay, some serious gameplay, or if you just want to be entertained by somebody who simply enjoys what they're giving you. Tune in to Strawberries and Coffee. Dejan will be right over there for you. That's Tuesdays and Thursdays at 10 p.m. Again, he will go impromptu, so make sure you hit that bell. Also, tune in on Saturdays to This Merry Moment. We go on sometime between 10 and 12. We give you a little bit of time to think about it. Who knows? You might be the person that hits us up on an email and says, I've been waiting for you today. And we get up and we get on earlier than we planned for that day. And that's how much we love our fans, man, and all those who tune in to everything we do. Everything we do. Hey, if you even want Screen Time Continuum to give you an extra episode, we could do that too, but you got to let us know you want it. With all of that being said, remember, Facebook, YouTube, Spotify, Apple. Hey, Nick, what are some of those other platforms that you're on with the Exofathom?
No, we are on Odyssey, Rumble, and Verbal.
Look at that, man. We are racking them up. I
Mhm.
still have yet to find out what Odyssey is, but Verbal and Rumble, I have now found out what those are, and nice find. Very nice find.
Good stuff.
We appreciate you guys. Please tune in. We'll see you guys next time for Screen Time Continuum. My name is Keelan.
And I am Keelan. Good night.